Hello everybody, and welcome to today's Thursday Thinks, which is all about me and my horses as the weather warms. Please excuse the dog. He's having a great time shouting at the squirrels. So thank you for joining me today. If you're listening live, please say hi in the comments below and let me know you're here. If you're watching on replay, please put in the comments below #replay and say hello as well, so that I know that you care enough to watch it on replay. So thank you for joining me, and let's see what we come up with today. Please remember that all the opinions I express are my own, and from my own experience. You may do things differently, or you may have a different opinion. That's perfectly fine. I'm here expressing my way of doing things, perhaps hopefully inspiring you to change up the way you're doing things, or give you an idea or something for you to cross off the list, say, nah, I don't want to do that. That's what I'm here for, to inspire you in one way or another. I also really like it if you let me know in the comments below how you do things differently. I'm always looking for new ways to learn to do things or to experience things, and just listen to how other people do things. I find it really, really interesting, so let me know in the comments below. So obviously today is all about me and my horses as the weather warms. So warmer weather, those of you with horses will know that it changes and triggers you to do certain things and to not do other things that you would be doing over the winter. People who don't have horses, well, that's how it is. There are certain jobs that you do more over the winter than you do over the summer, and there's some things over the summer that you definitely do that you wouldn't do in the winter. So the main change for my horses is that I am a lot more focused on making sure that they've got water. So that means I'm filling up the water troughs, or being incredibly vigilant to make sure that the water troughs are fresh, making sure that the sorry, my phone's ringing. So making sure that the water troughs are kept full, and making sure that they've always got enough in all the places where it will be. But it also means that I'm making sure that my insect repellent is also there. So right now we've got fish in our water troughs. To make sure that A, the water is as fresh as possible and there's nothing in it that will deter them from drinking it, and B, to also eat the fly larvae before it even becomes fly, so therefore reducing the fly population around my horses, which is a really, really good thing, because there's nothing more annoying than having flies around you. You know, it's hard enough for us being around our horses when they're teeming with flies. What it must be like for them to have them around their belly button and all the places where they can't reach them. So insect repellent, natural insect repellent, by having the fish in the water troughs, that is also a thing for us over the summer months. Now, you're probably thinking, all fish in the water troughs, don't you have to feed them and look after them? Well, we do go and keep an eye on them. You know, when we're filling up the water troughs, we do a count round to make sure everybody's still there and they're all looking healthy and they're all of a good weight as well. Now, we've been putting the fish in the water troughs for the past 2, almost 3 years now. First year was a total experiment. We were going, oh no, don't know what this is going to be like, and we were practically feeding the fish. But over the past few years, that view has completely changed. So what we do now is we just put them in and forget about them, other than to keep an eye on them. And they are so healthy because they're so active, because they've got things to chase after, things to go and eat naturally. And yes, okay, the water probably isn't as oxygenated as it would be if they were in the pond. It's still oxygenated when it rains. Also, when the horses are drinking from it, some of them blow into the water, and obviously when they're dribbling, it's causing water to be oxygenated, plus the fact that when you put in water in the water trough, it oxygenates as well. So, you know, and there is plenty for them to eat, plenty. And they come out, as I say, in the winter, just as we take them out to go into the winter, they're always a decent weight and looking so healthy and fit. I've gone off on a tangent, sorry. So, yes, water troughs, fish. Also, my fly repellent or insect population monitors are our swallows. Now, we've been very active in making sure that they're not disturbed this year and make sure that they have everything they need. So we've been very, very careful not to disturb them as they've been setting up their nests. We have 4 mated pairs or couples, whatever you want to call them, and a mated pair, a couple, will go through 1,700 insects in a single breeding period, and that's with the standard swallows that only does about 2 nests max, and ours go for about 3 or 4. And to have 4 mated pairs, just consider how many flies they go through, how much insects they take out of our land, which is a lot less that's annoying me. There's not less annoying the horses. So I actively do everything I can to make sure they're happy and safe. So that means the water troughs have all got sticks in them, so that if any of the swallows or any of the wildlife that we've got around here goes for a drink, they've got a way out if they accidentally fall in or get surprised or whatever, because we have had dead creatures in the water troughs. Now, not only does that mean that the horses don't drink from it, therefore possibly affecting their hydration levels, it also means that we've lost an animal, which could be very beneficial to our ecosystem. So, swallows. We also, obviously, I did a video about this, natural fire repellent for yard and field, which is all about turmeric and garlic. Now, my turmeric, I have a bucket in the corner of my yard, which has got a tyre around it, so it's not able to be easily knocked over, although Pagan will grab one of the handles and just throw it everywhere. But that's by the by. Every morning, I take a tablespoon and put 3 of them into this bucket. By lunchtime, it's empty and I have to fill it up again. So I fill it up at lunchtime. And by tea time, when I'm doing my nighttime routine with the horses, it's empty again. So I fill it up again. And then by the time I get to the morning, it's the same situation. So that's 9 tablespoons of turmeric that they are currently consuming to naturally fly repel. It's also great for the skin and helping to heal the skin, so that any flies that they get on them, it naturally heals them as well. So I'm really pleased with how they're dealing with that and how they're utilising that source that I've put on the yard for them. Not to mention, some of them have got some very yellow orangey patches, which is just amazing to see and funny if you don't know what it is. So turmeric. I also have the garlic as well. That's in my main field. It is there by the gate and I can keep an eye on it, and it smells to high heaven of garlic. I don't want to go near it sometimes because it's just but it's benefiting them. They're utilising it, and I'm keeping a very close eye to see if it needs topping up. Does the garlic need changing out because it's gone funky, because it's been too warm and it's got mouldy or something like that? I get to keep a close eye on that, so that also changes what I'm doing. So in my changes in my routine, I now 3 times a day topping up a turmeric bucket, and I'm also sorting out a garlic trough, i.e. filling it up or changing out the garlic in it so that it's not funky. So there's also the fact that it's okay, the water troughs are filling them up, but I need to make sure that the horses are getting their electrolytes, making sure that their bodies have got enough minerals so that they can utilise the water in the best way possible, so that their bodies are functioning well. Because whilst you yourself can take up water, you need certain minerals for your body to be able to utilise them. So I'm in the middle of an experiment this year. I always have a bucket of salt on the yard. Now this is, I think it's about 4 tablespoons of salt that I constantly keep in there, constantly keep it topped up, so that the horses can utilise it as they like. And they really, really do use a lot of it. I buy a 15 kilo sack of sea salt on a regular basis from Just Ingredients. That's the website, Just Ingredients. And they get through that probably a bag every 2-3 months. But in the summer months that goes up and they use it a bit more often. So they've got that constantly. Now that provides them with the minerals and the electrolytes that their bodies need, which would usually come out when they're sweating, because obviously they do sweat when they get hot. So that helps them. It also encourages them to drink more, which obviously hydrates them. But I was in my cupboards in my tack room the other day, and I found a little pot of electrolyte salts. I thought, I bought it a few years ago, and I didn't know whether I wanted to utilise it or not. It was just sat there, and I thought, you know what, I got it. I'll use it this year and see what they do with it. I think I had it the first year that we moved here, and it was before I knew about sea salt and how it was best for them. And I don't really like the smell of the electrolyte salts. It smells a bit plasticky and a bit fake, and I'm just, it's not what I'm about. I prefer the natural side of things, and yeah, that sort of thing. So I thought, I don't know what to do with it. I may as well utilise it. I'll use it up, see if they'll have it. If they won't, fine. If they do, okay, hopefully they'll benefit from it. So I read the instructions, and it came with its own little poxy scoop, and I was like, okay, I'll put the 4 in and fill up this bucket with water. That's pagan. And it went. I say it went. It got chucked on the floor. Pagan grabbed the handle and just went, I'm not having that, which meant nobody else could have that. And actually, she's probably the one that needs it the most, because she's been looking very dehydrated around her muzzle, around her mouth. She's been looking very dry. So we were a bit concerned that she wasn't either drinking enough or having the salt, but usually she's quite good about having the salt, so I don't know. So I thought, well, maybe she's telling me that I've got too much powder in there. They're not used to it. They're used to things being at a lower level. So I thought, oh, fine, we'll just do it in a different way then. So I reduced the amount to just 3 scoops, and it got sort of drunk and then chucked on the floor. Okay, this is just an experiment. I don't mind if you completely waste it. I just hope it benefits you in some way. So then I reduced it down to 2 scoops, and it disappears. And then by disappears, I mean I put it out at lunch, and by tea time, when I'm going around doing the nighttime routine, it's empty. Now, admittedly, there's some splashed on the floor, which I think is somebody having a bit of a tantrum. There's none left, and they just chuck it. Fine. So they're utilising it. Great. I'm happy. Really happy that it's benefiting them in some way, shape, or form. So it seems to be helping, and I am keeping that topped up. But they are also taking the salt as well. So whether it's giving them something that's missing in the sea salt, I need to do a bit of research on that. So fun times for me. But yeah, so keeping the electrolytes up, because I know that they're sweat, particularly as I have 2 black cobs. And obviously everybody knows the black ones always retain more heat, which means they get hotter, and it's just not fun for them. So I'm doing that as well. I also, in the summer months, do a lot more cleaning. Now, not to say that I'm a dirty person, it just means that it's easier to clean in the summer months. A, because they're out more, so they're not in the way, and also it's better for them, because what cleaning I mean is cleaning at the stables. Now, by cleaning out the stables, I have rubber mats in there with got grips on the top, which is better for the major, better for him to stand on. It cushions his joints just that little bit, and it also gives him a bit of traction. The stable floors are quite smooth, so in wet conditions he slides, whereas these mats give him a bit of grip, and it's great. But there are seams to them, and they don't really fit in properly, so there are gaps. So they get pooped, caught down the gaps, and hay gets caught down the gaps, and it sits and rots, and they pee and it gets caught in the gaps, and the rain comes in and it gets caught in the gaps. So it just creates a smelly mess. And this stuff, I tell you, it stinks. So we've just actually took them out this weekend, taken all the mats out of the major stable and Pagan stable. Now, whilst they aren't stabled, and then I hope they never have to be, I do have a stable per horse, except for Midnight, because Midnight doesn't enjoy going in stables unless she is doing it of her own free will and the doors are open and she can stand with her head out. or her bum out. She is never really, truly, fully in a stable. She is always halfway out the door. So I don't have a stable for her, but at a push, I can convert something for her. So it's not a bit of an issue, but they do all have their allocated stables except for Midnight. So we took out the mats for the Major and Pagan, and it's stank. And we put the jet wash on the back of the mats, and obviously run some disinfectant through the stables, and the flies on the yard just dropped. The levels of them, not the actual flies, but the level of the flies just dropped, because there wasn't, there wasn't that rotting matter, or whatever you want to call it, or fertilizer or whatever. It just wasn't there anymore. So cleaning out the yards on a more regular basis, as in being thoroughly clean, is something that I only do over the summer months. If I do it in the winter months, it's too wet and the Major ends up sliding, because I always put the mats out in the yard because I've got the space to do it, and those mats are heavy. You don't want to be lugging them anywhere, and I always clean them by turning them upside down, and there's no grips on the backs of them. No grips whatsoever, so if they start walking on them when it's wet, they slide, especially the Major, and I don't want anything to happen to that man. He's 29, he doesn't need it. So I only do it in the summer months, but it helps. It really, really helps. Also in the summer months, I am on Egypt watch. Egypt has seasonal asthma, we found out last year. So last year he was coughing and spluttering and wheezing through most of the summer. So this year I've got on top of it before it even happened. He is worse when it's warmer, which is understandable. The pollen count is generally higher, and yeah, it's just not that great for him. So I've been keeping a closer eye on him, and every little wheeze, cough or splutter, I'm like, are you okay? Do you need anything? But having a closer eye on it before it even started has actually helped me this year, not to mention him as well. So I'm also keeping a closer eye on him. So yeah. Also, electric fencing in the summer is a totally different ballgame, because I have mine on a track system, a padded paradise track system with hay growing in the middle, which they can't access, which Pagan didn't appreciate, because Pagan is a cob, and cobs like grass and food, and she's a child, and child likes sugar, and the grass is sugary this time of year. It's been growing too quickly, because we had so much water, so much rain, and now we've got beautiful sunshine, so the grass is going wee. So she is now leaning all over my electric tape, which means I've got to constantly make sure that the batteries are all charged, that there's no fence post that she's broken as she spooked it or got electrocuted and she's gone flying. Oh, yeah, because they do, like you would, you go, ah, and run away. That's what she does. But sometimes she clips a electric fence post as she goes, which means she breaks it, which means then she goes, oh, this is fun, I can reach further. Or sometimes it's, oh, this is fun, I've broken two posts, I can go over it. Because she's not afraid to walk over electric tape, and because she goes over, everybody else gets the courage, and I suddenly have an entire herd in the middle of a hayfield. And so I keep an eye on my electric very, very diligently. But at the same time, I reduce the amount of hay that I've got out in the fields, because I only feed them hay. They don't have access to grass except for the odd bits that are around the outside of the track. And most of those they pooped on anyway, so they don't really want to eat it, because you don't poop where you eat. So I reduce the amount of hay, because they don't need as much as they do of the winter, because they're not dealing with cold weather. And yes, okay, when they started molting and we had that little bit of weather where it was hot and then it was chilly overnight, they had a real issue and they were really starving, because they got cold. But it just meant that I put out a few extra hay nets, or increased the size of a couple of my hay nets, and they were fine. But it does mean that I've now dropped them, because they don't need them, because they've got hedgerows. The amount of hedge surfing that they're doing at the moment is absolutely beautiful. I absolutely love it, because the amount of nutritional benefits that come from the hedgerow is just astonishing, especially this time of year when they're really, really growing. The nutritional profiles are just absolutely beautiful. So they don't need as much, and also in reducing the amount of hay nets, it encourages them to hedge stuff just that little bit more, which I really, really love. They can go do that as much as they like. I'm more than happy with it. Now, also, I'm going to brush them more, because their coats are still falling out, especially when it comes to spring, because she's still new to the herd. Her body still hasn't got into the rhythm of what life is like here, and the fact that if the weather goes hot, you can drop your coat, love, because I got you covered. And the rest of the herd know that. They know that if they get cold, I'm there. Is your extra hay? You're okay. Do I need to check on you? No, you're good. Or is it really, really drastic where you're really, really starving? Do you need a nutrient boost? Do you need a small bucket? No, by bucket, those of them who isn't the major only have a feed scoop rather than proper buckets. I do have proper buckets, but they've been put into storage because I don't utilise them. They just have a feed scoop, and it is just a little smattering on the bottom of that, because they don't need anything more. I only feed them bucket feeds, if you would, or scoop feeds, to give them nutrient boost, not to put weight on them or anything. They don't need it. They're good, they're healthy, they're happy. So yes, so my brushing does increase over the summer months as well, just to help them. Also, if you've got flies on you, it's friggin' itchy, so running a lovely brush over them is really, really satisfying for them, not to mention us, to make sure that they're okay. It's a great time to make sure that they are okay, because the summer months are also when the youngsters are most likely charging a bed, having a great time, loving life. So it's great to just do checks and make sure everybody truly is okay. So that's most of the things that I'm having to change when it comes to my herd. But there's also things that have to change when it comes to me. Like, for example, I currently have a water bottle on hand. It's usually about this big, and I got a little handle on the top. I left it downstairs. I should have brought it out to show you. And I have a straw in it. I don't know why, but I find that when I'm hot, a straw is more satisfying than a big hole where you got to sip it, because you're really thirsty, and sometimes I get over enthusiastic when I've got an actual bottle opening, and I end up just dribbling it everywhere. And while it can be refreshing when it's really, really hot and you're all sweaty, it's it's not pretty. So I have a straw, and I'm proud of it. Roast me if you like, but I love it. So I'm constantly glued to a water bottle, because I do get dehydrated very, very quickly if I'm not careful. So I carry that round, and I make sure that if I'm out in the morning, I'm drinking that almost constantly, and the same in the afternoons as well. So personal hydration is also very, very important, as well as your herd. Do you walk around with a water bottle? If so, let me know in the comments below. Do you put any squashes in it? Do you have juice instead? Or do you go for a cider? Or what floats your boat? What do you take with you? I also make sure that I'm covered in sunscreen. Those of you who follow Skincare by Hiram on YouTube will know how important sunscreen is. Now, I'm not in a skincare person, but I do follow Hiram, and I know how important sunscreen is to the daily routine. As he says, there's no point if you're doing any sort of routine if you're not covering up with sunscreen when you go outside. Now, obviously going out in the sun means there's a risk of sunburn, which isn't great for anybody's skin. So I always make sure I'm covered. Now, for my body, I'm not so fussy about what I put on it, but when it comes to my face, it's always Korean skincare, because it's just better. There's no white cast to it, and it's higher quality. The ingredients are better. My skin is happier with it. I mean, look at this skin. It is beautiful because I use a proper skincare routine, which is then covered by the sunscreen. So it's all good fun. It's all good fun. So, a number of changes over the summer months for my horse's benefit and mine. Now, I'll probably do something about my winter routine and the changes from summer to winter when I get there, but my most focus, I think, when it comes to the summer months or spring months is the growth of my hay. Now, not everybody in the track system grows their own hay. Not many people do grow their own hay, but with a track system, it is a privilege that I'm able to run with and just go with. So I do. It reduces my actual hay bill drastically because I need about 900 bales to get my herd through the year, which, if you think about it, they're usually around, I don't know, £4 to £5 a bale. That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money that I don't generally have. And in having my own hay cut myself, it reduces the price of a bale to, well, about from anywhere from 50p a bale to a couple quid max. So, well worth it for my pocket, which means I can spend it on the Major and his feed bucket. Because that man has currently 3 buckets a day of really, really high quality food, which is doing him wonders, so I will never take him off it, but it is not cheap from a bucket. I best keep working for a living. To that end, please subscribe to the YouTube channel and support me over there. Also make sure that you're liking and following the Facebook page and joining the Facebook group. Help support me, people. We need to hashtag feed the Major. So I think that's it for me today. I've talked on, oh god, 25 minutes, go me. So a few things about how I've changed my routine and things that I'm keeping an eye on over the summer months. I'll talk to you next week about another topic which comes to my mind over the next few days. I'll be setting the event hopefully on Monday and inviting you all, so please join me over there. This video will come up onto the YouTube channel in a couple of weeks' time. Obviously make sure you are subscribed to the YouTube channel because I've got great videos up there. The one that went out yesterday was Meet Pagan, which was an absolute hoot to record because she's such an amazing, joyful character, and there's a great video of her as well. So go over there to check out those fun clips, and don't forget to also stay all the way to the end for the fun clips of her charging around and just loving life. So thank you everybody for joining me, and I'll see you all again soon. Bye.